To the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged, come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application, and it's other than a renewal, and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we begin tonight, there is an adjournment on our calendar, and there's also a withdrawal of an application. Application 23-219, property is located on Bergen Drive in Deer Park. Is anybody here on that application? That application is being adjourned to February the 8th, 2024.
At Bergen and Marvin Street, right?
Right. Yep, okay. February 8th. So it'll be at the end of that agenda that night, so you can come a little bit after 6 and you'll be fine. Yeah, if you want to put anything in writing, if you can't make it, just submit it to the zoning board or zoning office, okay? All right, and also, page 7. Application 23-205, that property is located in Wyandanch on Chestnut Street. That application is being withdrawn, is coming off the agenda. Is there anybody here on that application? Okay. Yeah, just as a reminder to everybody, if you are here to speak on an application, you'll have one opportunity to speak. So get your thoughts together, everything that you would like to say about that application, but you will only be given one opportunity to speak. We may call back up the applicant after everybody has spoke. That may, make some questions available and stuff like that. So please keep that in mind, okay? Okay, first application is 23-213 of Jamal Wazan and Rianne Viala. Property located in West Babylon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rianne Villalba. I'm at 50 Rockland Avenue. I'm the owner.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jamal Wilson. I'm at 50 Rockland Avenue. I'm the homeowner.
Okay, and sir, is he with you guys?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Angel Aponte, A-P-O-N-T-E. I reside at 1330 Washington Avenue in Bayshore, and I'm here as an agent for the homeowners.
Okay, and do you all affirm to tell the truth? For the record, we have a planning division memo dated January 17th, 2024, environmental control memo dated January 18th, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by John Abruzzo dated September 1st, 2023, tax map acting as an area map, and okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
So what we have is a front raised patio. It is, as per the call, 22.9 feet from the property line. At the highest point, 26 inches. At the lowest point, about 22 inches. It is fairly new. It was built prior to the homeowner's occupation in October of 23. And respectfully, we're here to ask the board for your approval to maintain.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
Good evening, how are you?
How you doing?
Good. So did you recently do the siding and the roofing and all the work that's been done on it? That was on it? That was
They
done?
did not. They bought the house that way. They just bought it in October.
Okay. So do you know if it was renovated prior to that, or?
It was.
It was, okay. All right, if this is approved, would you agree that the front porch and the portico not be further enclosed?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve application 23-213 with the condition that the front porch and portico not be further enclosed.
Second.
All in favor? Good luck.
Thank you.
Next application is application 23-215 of Matthew Siegfried, property located in West Babylon.
Our sign posting affidavit was already dropped off to the building department. It was dropped off on the 16th, the day after MLK Day. We also picked up a new sign that day. Of the sign? The homeowner's here. Can I just ask him? He probably has it on his phone. I have a copy scanned in at the office. Okay, I can do that first thing in the morning.
Okay. Name and address for the record.
Ashley Lowe from Mark Anthony Architects, 1563 Belmore Avenue in Belmore, New York.
You affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated January 17, 2024. Environmental Control memo dated January 18, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Peter J. Barbizon dated June 10, 2023. Tax map acting as an area map. And
Chairman, there's 5 photographs.
Mr. Chairman, with your correspondence, numbers 5, 6, and 7 are emails and letters regarding this application, and are attached 3 videos that are posted in the memo.
yeah, okay.
When's he taking it down?
No privacy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Okay. I am here tonight representing for our clients Matthew and Candace Siegfried, who are the owners and occupants of the subject property located at 154 Marcy Street in West Babylon. Tonight we are here for variances for applications to legalize an existing above-ground swimming pool with a pool deck and stairs, a paver patio, a fire pit, 2 sheds, and a front porch. The existing front yard setback does not meet the required front yard setback of 30 feet, having an existing front yard setback of 18.1 feet, of which we require 11.9 feet of relief. Additionally, we are requesting the building area be increased as we require 10.67% of relief from the required 20%, having an existing building area of 30.67%. The third variance request was to diminish the west side lot line from 8 feet to 0.23 feet. However, I have since spoken to my clients who have agreed to cut back that portion of the existing pool deck to make it even with the rest of the deck at 3.44 feet if the board would allow that. And our final request is to diminish the rear yard setback from the required 8 feet to 3.5 feet for the existing pool deck, which is a variance of 4.5 feet. This concludes our request for this case. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
Good evening, how are you?
Good, how are you?
So, variance number 3 is the one that you're agreeing to?
Yes.
You'll cut that back to what was, did you give me the dimensions again?
Yes, so if you look on the west side property line, the deck, just a small portion of the deck and the stairs come to .23 up against the adjoining property. The rest of the fence has a setback of 3 feet, 3.44 feet. So we would want to cut it back so it's all in line.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was distracted. Give me that number one more time.
No worries. 3.44 feet.
And the sheds are in legal locations?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I don't think at this time I have any further questions.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, is it possible to put up some privacy trees along the, I guess, the west side?
Can I confirm with my client for just 1 second? How high would you guys want them?
Minimum 8 feet of arborvitae's.
They're not really giving you a choice. How many would they have to go along the whole yard, or just in that one area?
It's where the elevated, pool deck is, this way, someone's not in their backyard and has to see the other person going.
How about, if I may interrupt, how about if we cut back the deck on the west side to the end of the pool? Is that a possibility?
I think that would affect the structure of the deck too much, because we did discuss that earlier today.
Sorry, Steve.
I would do the trees instead of cutting back the whole deck.
Cut.
So this is an above-ground pool, I guess it's like 4 feet above,
It's a semi-in-ground.
semi-in-ground.
So-
So how high is the deck? Approximately. I don't
Approximately
need
30 inches. So Mr. Siegfried said he'd have no problem planting the trees. He just wants to bear in mind that there will be a small space where the pool equipment is. I mean, they'll do their best, but
As the trees grow in, it will,
yeah, that's just all we want to put on the record.
I would say half a dozen, 6, something like that.
Okay.
Do 6,
6, and then they'll grow.
and then they go up from
They grow
there.
fast, yeah.
Like, I planted some in my house, and within 2 years, they were, 15 feet high. Yeah.
Okay. So he would be willing to do that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. We just asked about the shed. What's with the shed? It's only 2? I thought it was a... It's under a... That still needs 2 then, too. What about the other shed on the west side? Where the deck is?
So according to their plot plan, the shed on the west side is to be relocated to the property line.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you've agreed to that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
The existing PVC shed. right? That's what we're discussing? Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Any more questions from the board? Okay. Would anyone like to be heard on this application?
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Elizabeth Arena, 152 Marcy Street, West Babylon, New York.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
What would you like to tell us about the application?
Well, it's my understanding that in Zone B, that an above-ground pool deck needs to be 8 feet away from the property line.
Correct.
I would ask that you please consider that. We have been through a few years of constant staring by applicant Siegfried at my daughter and myself. We cannot even sit on our patio without him if he's out there staring us down. So I thought if I could submit those videos and pictures, you could see how invasive this is and have some sympathy for myself, my daughter, and my grandchild, my granddaughter. We have no privacy. They hang over the fence. They've had company come to their home, and hang over the fence into our airspace, in effect, and talk. And my granddaughter would be just a few feet away, and it's like she's not there, but they're observing her. And this is highly inappropriate, and maybe, perhaps, unlawful, I don't know, but harassment and speaking very unkindly to my daughter, I can't sit for this. I lost my husband 2 years ago, and I can't even enjoy the privacy of my own backyard in a time when I needed some tranquility. So I appeal to all of you to please don't allow that upper deck that's more than 30 inches high. It's much higher than that. Because if they can hang over the fence into my property, into my airspace, so to speak, and it's just unacceptable. It should not be acceptable to anyone. And, I submitted a letter January 22nd, and I tried to outline and keep it concise, because I realize you have a full agenda this evening, as to what our primary concerns are regarding this very invasive structure that allows them to look at us day and night and take great pleasure in harassing us. I don't know if you noticed the video with the flexing of the muscles, because he had just got finished staring into our kitchen window at night and startled my daughter, who actually screamed, and I think he was very pleased with that. So I ask you, please consider it and not allow that deck to remain. It is, against the town code for Zone B. It has to be 8 feet away. And I ask
Well,
you,
they're here.
please
understand.
consider that,
Okay.
if you would, please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? Name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Arena, and I live at 152 Marcy Street, West Babylon.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do. I just want to add the hedge situation. There was a video I sent where we do have this crazy bush in our backyard. It's our only form of privacy. And in the video, you could see that he would still kind of maneuver around it so he can, in that little space of privacy that I've had for the past 2 years, look at me and me just watering my flowers. I also want to add about water. We did submit some pictures. I'm concerned about their surface area. Do they have enough water absorption in the space that they are inhabiting? We have been noticing that there is just solely on the west side of our property, the cinder blocks in our basement has had water seeping through. And I've noticed that they are having water issues. I did submit pictures of what seems to be plumbing pipes laced into their water drain, and they have it extending to both neighbors, my house, 152 Marcy Street, and 156 Marcy Street. So that way all the water will be absorbed by both properties. So it seems like they are having issues with whatever they have already that they've done to their property with water in their own home, and now it is becoming our problem. And I yield.
Do you know where the water's coming from exactly, or?
I have no idea. I've lived in the house for over 40 years. I've never seen anything like it, never. So I'm happy to have anyone come over and look, or if maybe they can tell me, if they can investigate why they're having water issues. Do they have enough surface area on their property when the rainfall comes to absorb it?
Oh, it's happening when it's raining? Is that when it's happening?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? One shot. Okay. Name and
Hi.
address for the record.
Candace Siegfried, 154 Marcy Street.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do, Your
What would you
Honor.
like to tell us?
I would like to ask, where is the proof that my husband was staring and flexing at the neighbors? Because if we're up on the deck, we're cleaning up the deck, we're cleaning up the kids. We have 3 kids. Their pool toys on the deck, putting it away, putting it into the bench. Yes, occasionally we have looked over because we noticed that they have their phone up and they're just videoing us for no reason whatsoever, Your Honor. I mean, yeah, of course you're gonna look. You're being videoed, you're gonna look over. When somebody's like this.
So is there do you have company over all the time? Is there,
No.
a noise?
No.
Is it
No,
just
Your
your
Honor.
kids mostly and maybe
Just
their
the-
friends
just the 3
possibly,
kids
or that kind
mostly.
of thing?
Just the 3 kids
So
mostly.
it's not like a party, going on every weekend or anything like that?
No, Your Honor, no.
I'm not Your Honor.
Oh,
but
sorry.
thanks.
Sorry. No, nothing like that.
Okay. Sure.
The pavers, you have pavers behind the pool? Are they
Behind?
up against the west?
Up against? No.
You don't have anything that's, you have 2 feet of grass off the fence, at least?
Yes,
All the way around the backyard?
all the way around.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we ask you to come back up again? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So here's our question is, it looks like the filter and the tank and stuff are on that side of the property, on that west side of the property?
Yes.
So when you're backwashing, where's that backwash water going?
Well, if it does, it's all the way behind the pool and the other way, like underneath.
Okay. Can I ask you to come up? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna ask. I need your name and address for the record.
Matthew Siegfried, 154 Marcy Street.
And you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you not backwash the pool?
It's a cartridge system.
It's a
It
what?
does it- It's a cartridge filter system.
So you take it out and you
Has an
hose the
ionizer.
cartridge out?
Just open it up, take the cartridge out, spray down the cartridge, put the cartridge back.
So why would there be water, I mean, here's my question.
I have no
Where I'm
water
leading it,
issues.
why is there water? Like, this is not close to the gutters of your house or anything like that, right? It doesn't look like it on the map, on here?
There's no water.
We don't have any water issue.
There's no, sprinkler system back there or anything like that?
There's sprinklers in the
There's
backyard.
sprinklers, yes.
But no,
That's it, and the sprinklers stay on your property? It doesn't like
yeah, they're all
go
set.
around or anything?
They don't even touch the deck.
Okay. Thanks. You want to come back up? I guess that answers some of our questions. Does the board have any other questions? Okay, we have no other questions. You have, yeah, so you guys have agreed to the arborvitae's, you've agreed to cut back the deck at least to the 3.4, and we'll take a look at that and see what makes sense. You do need to be cognizant of your neighbors being, you know, that close to that side and stuff like that. So, all right. All right, thanks, everybody, for coming down. Okay, I don't think I did, so would you agree to the front porch not to be enclosed?
We saw it on the paperwork that we received today. Yes, we agree.
And you agreed to that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail. Thanks for coming down. We'll take all of your information into consideration, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next application is application 23-211 of Alicio Petrilla and Christina Pasilico, property located in Deer Park.
Good evening. My name is Alessio Petrella. I reside at 142 Claremont Street in Deer Park, New York.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated January 18th, 2024. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 photographs. We have a Department of Environmental Control memo dated January 18, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Lawrence Michael Haynes dated September 28, 2020. Tax map acting as an area map. And
Also 7 photographs.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
We're doing an addition, first floor addition and second floor addition, and we're trying to reduce the setback from 30 feet to 22 foot 9, which is my front porch. We're not going to enclose it. And we're maintaining the existing setbacks on both sides of my house. We're doing a rear addition located on the west side, and that's going to be a 2-story addition as well, which that setback would go from 12 foot to 6'6", and on that's the east side. The west side would go from 12 foot to 8 foot as well, because of the second floor addition.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Correcchia.
Okay.
Oh, also, sorry. There is a 10 by 10 roof over that I bought from Costco, 4 columns and a roof. That is sitting on a platform that is on grade, if that's just a wood deck. I know that that's being asking for a variance from 8 foot to 2 foot. The deck is 2 feet off the property line, but not the 10 by 10 structure.
The roof overhang is 10 by 10 structure. It's not close to the property line.
Correct, yeah.
Just the deck is close to the
The
property.
deck, yeah. But it is a 10 by 10, 4 columns with a gabled roof.
Why did you start the construction without permits? Could you give me a little insight on that?
So I had a temporary permit to start the first floor demo, and I went away with my wife to Florida. And when we went away, my contractor started demoing more than just the inside. He started demoing the roof. And we did have a big, heavy rainstorm. I was trying to save the first floor. So I said, you need to close that up ASAP. And when I came home, that roof was on. and I had a stop work order, and then went back to the town of Babylon Building Department, and they said, try to get it watertight, you know, and that's what I did, and I totally stopped working on it.
Okay.
And that was in between Christmas and New Year's, I went away.
And they constructed that second story between Christmas and New Year's?
Yeah.
Wow. It appears that the house is going to be really nice.
Thank you.
That rear structure, if it ever needed to be reconstructed, would you agree to construct it in a conforming location? That deck was 2 feet off the property line.
Move the 4 columns in the roof, you're saying?
If it
If it needs to be,
Needs to be
needs to be
reconstructed.
rebuilt or you know,
It's kind of hard to.
Well, if it comes
Oh, if it
down,
comes down,
down.
oh, I would knock it down. I would knock it down. Yeah, I wouldn't even.
we're not asking you to knock it down. We're
Yeah,
asking
yeah.
you if you had to knock it down, would you move it the 2 feet?
Yeah,
that it needs to be?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd rather closer to the pool.
okay, so the existing conditions are existing because you're going up straight up?
I'm going straight up, yeah.
Okay.
And I did a cape style in the front, so it's more of a roof in the front.
Okay. And you would agree that the front porch not be further enclosed?
Correct.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
I guess. Yeah, I was just about to ask you about that. There's a comment in the planning memo that the construction was going on at 6:45 in the morning.
I'm not sure why. I made sure everyone started at 8:30. I can promise you, no one has started before 8:30. I believe it's dark at that time.
You weren't there for a while it was going on.
I was not, no, I was not, but I made sure that no one's, I think it might still be dark at that time.
Okay, but, yeah, I mean, so you need to make sure your contractor's not starting work before.
I understand.
8 or 7? 8. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay. Okay, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail. Thanks for coming down, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks. Next application is application 23220 of Stoller of Queens, Inc., property located in East Farmingdale.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and staff. Douglas Hines, HYNES, Design Development Group, Stony Brook, New York. This is a request for a renewal of a special permit for the operation of what is in name or legal definition a public garage, but is actually a very passive use, which I'll describe. Special exception for a car wash and for outdoor storage in the front and side yards. We had all those approved 5 years ago by this board. The approval of the parking diminution from 121 to 23 was also approved.
I didn't do my thing.
I'm sorry?
Before we begin. It's a planning division memo dated January 17, 2024. Environmental control memo dated January 19, 2024. This needs SEQA, but the planning board is the agency determining that. Yeah, well, it would, but not yet. Fire marshal's report, January 25th, 2024, no violations. A tax map acting as an area map, a survey, I guess, let's see. Yeah, by Charles Panetta, dated November 4th, 2016. 6 photographs, okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, there's also 5 photographs on the site plan on dated January 3rd, 2024.
For the record, the applicant just submitted those 6 photographs.
Oh, okay. Those are new, okay. Okay,
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman? Yeah, no, quite all right. As you may recall, having sat on the board in 2017, this is a great success story for the East Farmingdale area. I grew up in that area, and I'm very familiar with it. This was the old BH aircraft site, was heavily polluted following World War II activities. It was then the Bauman bus site with 120 bus trips in and out every day for bus storage. When the owner, who continues to be the owner of this property, came in 2017, completely remediated the site to the satisfaction of the New York State authorities. We came before the board and proposed a 350 to 500 Mercedes-Benz storage yard to support the dealership in Long Island City. It's been beautifully run without complaint. Photographs give you a sense of the landscaping along the front, the storage of the vehicles, and the modest structures we have on site. On a daily basis, we have 2 employees on site, one from early in the morning till early in the afternoon, sometimes 4:30, another one in the afternoon answering the phone for parts. There's very light vehicle servicing, top off the oil, the windshield fluid, wash the car, prepare it for delivery to the Long Island City location. Typically, there would be 1 delivery of vehicles into the site during the day, 2 out. And that's virtually a peak day. There are days there are no deliveries in, no deliveries out. So it's very quiet, passive, benign use. Behind us is the Long Island Railroad, the main line. Across from us and next to us, commercial activities. We have abided by all the covenants and restrictions. We don't do repairs, we don't do sales, we don't dismantle vehicles. There's no noise, there's no fumes, there's no public access. The planning staff requested that I be asked whether we would offer car washing services to the public. We do not. It's an electronically gated site with very little activity. It's a far cry from the prior uses. We're proud to have operated it this well in 5 years. The new applicant, the new tenant, is an experienced motor vehicle dealer with 4 locations in the region. They've operated it consistent with these approvals, and we would respectfully request that we be renewed for 5 years. The planning staff mentioned a renewal for 1 year. I spoke with Ms. Riley this morning. She had no objection to me making the request, and in view of the fact that we were approved for 5 years initially, and we've operated well, we'd respectfully request the same.
For the record, Mr. Chairman, it's not considered a renewal, it's a new tenant.
That was going to be my thing. So this is a new tenant, so it's not a renewal of the former tenant. This is a new tenant.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
Running the operation?
I'll accept the technicality, but there's no changes to the operation. It's identical.
Okay, that was my next question. Just a change of ownership, everything's going to be operated the same way that it's been operated in the past?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The ownership of the land remains the same. The tenant has changed. The dealership was purchased by this tenant, so it's the same dealership with new ownership of the dealership.
Well, basically, it's a detail and prep facility.
That's correct. And very modest at that. I have the service director here if you have any questions, but I'm very familiar with the operation of the site, having worked on it 5 and 6 years ago, and I've been there many times.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You get the decision in.
Sorry, can we go through the conditions, because we did add car wash to
Okay, so it's not a public car wash. It's just for the cars that you're prepping for.
That's correct, and all the requested conditions are agreeable to us.
Okay, we're going to close the hearing and reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Next application is, this needs to be amended too. The application needs to be amended from 17083 to 23235.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Dated January 17, 2024. It is Sarah and Carmine Zito, Amelia Zito, Emily Zito, Anthony Zito, Joseph Zito, property located in West Babylon.
the original affidavit of service.
Thanks.
Good
Name
evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Mark Arrowbrand, Esquire, 692 South Wellwood Avenue, Lindenhurst, New York, 11757, on behalf of the applicant. Good evening.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated January 17th, 2024, Environmental Control memo dated January 25th, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Pinnacle Land Surveyors dated April 23rd, 2020. Tax map acting as an area map. And what's this? I guess this is a site plan. No, it is a site plan by Harold Gephardt, architect, dated May 2nd, 2023. And,
Yeah, 5 photographs.
okay. What'd you like to tell us about the application?
Well, seated next to me is one of the owners of the properties, Carmine Zito. And before I begin, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about the property, about the history of the property and the history of the family, because I think that's relevant to these proceedings. Over the last 20 years or so, the principal parties have been Carmine, his brother Anthony Zito, and their father Joseph Zito. Joseph Zito is presently 104 years young. 103. Okay, we were adding one there, okay. So he was busy tonight and couldn't be here, okay. Unfortunately, Carmine's brother, Anthony Zito, passed away in 2018. And Anthony was basically, he was the one that was running the show for a number of years. So now that's fallen on to Carmine. The property's located on the southeast corner of Little East Neck Road and Silver Street. Frankly, to be a little bit more specific, it's bordered on the north by Silver Street and runs all the way to the south to Claremont Road. So everything between the south side of Silver Street and the north side of Claremont, on the east side there, that's our property. That's what you're seeing. And basically, it's presently composed of 4 different tax parcels. And just to give you some history, the first parcel, which is actually known as 10 Silver Street, it's tax number ending. All of these are located in Suffolk County Tax Map number 100, 138, Block 2. And then we have 4 different lots. Lot number 6.001, which is that's actually behind the building here, was acquired, as best we can tell. There was an owner's certificate of title that was issued to Joseph Zito back in 1985. The picture itself depicts the property, which is known as lot number 1.01. The address is 1025 Little East Neck Road. And I found in some of the paperwork that Mr. Zito provided to me today was an affidavit which was made by his father, which said that the building was built in 1976 and he was the original owner. Immediately south to this, of the building itself, is a parking lot, which is lot number 3, 60 by 100. And that was originally acquired, as best I can tell, in 1990. There was a Carmela and Vincent Zito who sold it to Zito Enterprises, who then conveyed it to Anthony and Carmine Zito. And lastly, and most recently, only 20 years ago, my clients purchased a lot, tax lot number 4, which is actually the Italian ice place you see with the blue canopy to the right. Okay, yes, okay, Ralph's famous Italian ices was purchased in 2004. So for the very least, we've owned all these properties since 2004. And I just wish to mention that at the outset, because parking has never been an issue at this property, and that's ostensibly why we're here tonight, for a parking variance. A little more history, there was a fire at the premises, that building which you see, the principal building on the premises, March 3rd of 2013. In November of 2015, we obtained planning board approval to rebuild the building, and based upon plans which were submitted by Harold Gebhard, dated October 29th of 2015. An actual certificate of occupancy was issued on February 22 of 2016 for the repaired fire damage, but that certificate of occupancy was made subject to site plan approval. In June of 2007, this board, under application 17 of 83, granted a variance, a parking variance, to reduce the required off-street parking from 35 spaces to 21 spaces. And it further provided a restriction that there would be no food establishment which would have an excess of 16 seats. And I noted that that was a condition or a covenant restriction which was proposed by the Planning Division in their memorandum dated January 17th of 2024. And obviously, we have no issue with that whatsoever. The ultimately, covenants and restrictions were filed with respect to both the decision of the Planning Board and the Board of Appeals. And in May of 2020, a certificate of occupancy was issued for the ATT equipment and 9 antennas which were installed on the roof of the premises. In November 4th of 23, that certificate of occupancy was updated as there were upgrades to the antenna equipment, and there are now 12 antennas located on the roof. We're here tonight because by installing, if you could see on the site plan, if we can pull that up, or I could actually show you. Okay, where the transformers were installed, you could see them all the way in the rear of the property, and you could see where there's the dumpster is. So because of the installation of these, the transformer, which took up basically 2 parking spaces, we're now short, instead of the 21, we now have 19. I saw that in the Planning Board's memo today, they were asking why was it located in that place. At that time, Carmine Zito wasn't hands-on the way he is now, because as I said, his brother Anthony was handling these affairs. So unfortunately, we don't have him to discuss that with. But I did reach out to somebody from the real estate division of AT&T, who advised me that normally the transfers, they follow the electrical lines. And he said, listen, I can't speak to where they come in on this property, but that's normally what we do. But he said, aside from that, and as I agreed with him, it was a logical location to install these in that back corner, away from the 2 entrances. There's an entrance here, as you see, and there's also an entrance on Silver Road. They buttress the Italian Ice place, okay, so they're blocked from anybody's view by the Italian Ice. They were placed in a location where they wouldn't interfere with traffic flow or parking, and it was just a logical location for them to be there. And I'm going by observation in the discussions that I had with the AT&T representative. As far as the parking variance is concerned, as I said, I mean, we've been there, it seems at least 30 years without the Italian Ice place, 20 years with the Italian Ice place. They've never had a parking issue on the location. We need an additional variance for 2 parking spaces because of the transformers. As far as the tenants are concerned, when we were looking at the numbers and how the variance was calculated, Mr. Zito tells me that there are 4 apartments upstairs, 3 one-bedroom, 1 two-bedroom. Two of the one-bedroom apartments only have one car. The Italian Ice, I have some pictures I can show you if you'd like. Does anybody? It's closed. It's seasonal, so it's only open during the summer hours, and it's and primarily in use at night when any of the businesses are normally closed. I took some photographs the other day, which I'd like to share with you. I have one for each, a set for each one if you want. Want one? And if you see the first picture where it's mentioned that there's a municipal lot, which is a stone's throw away from, this picture was taken just outside of where Ralph's Italian Ice is located. And that's a municipal lot which the town put in place a number of years ago to help the businesses on Little East Neck Road because of the parking issues that we have. We don't feel like we have a need to draw upon it, but it's available and it's not that far from our location, so it would make perfect sense if there were any kind of a parking issue for people to be able to use it. The next photo is just where it says south of the apartments. Again, this is a situation when I was there on Tuesday. These are the photographs I took at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see there were no parking spaces being used. The next photograph, which shows again, handicap parking on Little East Neck Road, just abutting where the Ralph's Italian Ice is. Again, there was no parking there. And then I have a photograph of the rear or the east side of the apartment building, which has 6 cars. These were the only cars that were located on the premises at the time. And there, in the next photograph, you could see there was additional parking next to the transformer. None of those spaces were being used. Lastly, I just wanted to show you a photograph of Ralph's Italian Ices, and you can see that it is boarded up. So it's only in use during the summer hours, and like I said, for the most part, in the evening hours. I know that the planning memo questioned why the transformer was located there, and for the need to prove the necessity and the ability to functionally operate with the requested variance. And I think we've established that. As I said, we have the municipal parking. The way the business runs is that the Italian Ice, again, only being open at night. When the other businesses are closed, it lends itself to having available parking. Mr. Zito has told me in the second photo, where it's just south of the apartments, where the handicap is, those other signs are because people across the street are using our parking lot. You know, customers, clients, patients, whatever. You know, so it was necessary, you know, when he got word that they're using the parking lot to put up those signs. I mean, just evidencing we have the available space to house our property and the usage that we're using it for. They've been doing it for decades.
Okay, turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. You've answered all my concerns. You do agree to the no food establishment exceeding 16 seats?
Right, it's already there. So the CNR is already recorded.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve application 23-235.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
It's a parking variance.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so the condition is that there'll be no food establishment, use exceeding 16 seats.
We're good.
Good, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah.
What's going on, my friend? Oh, Frank, it's great to see you. Oh, it's coming in here. I have a feeling they're gonna want more of you than me.
Go ahead. I was thinking the same thing, but go ahead.
I'll spell. That's right. Yeah. 4 letters. You from Zatarain?
Okay, ready?
I'm ready when you
Name
are.
name and address for the record.
Bram Weber, Weber Law Group, 290 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York, for the applicant.
Okay, for the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated January 17th, 2024. Environmental Control memo dated January 19th, 2024. And this is currently, the seeker is currently with the Planning Board, so that would have to be their decision on that. Tax map acting as an area map, set of plans by Dale Koch, last dated October 23rd, 2023. That was an overall site plan, by the way. This is a survey, I guess, by Control Point Associates, dated April 18th, 2022. We just were handed up a packet from council, a number of different exhibits in it in regards to the application, and
6 photographs, Mr. Chairman.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
Thank you very much. Just want to introduce the team that's here. Andrew Fu is here, who's the Director of Development for the property owner, Thor Equities. He's at the end of the row. Dale Koch is here, who's our professional engineer. You'll hear from him in a little bit. Frank Filiciotto is our parking engineer. You will hear from him as well on the parking variance. And Sharon Wu is here. She is the architect, and she will speak to the height variance. The applicant, Thor Equities, is one of the most comprehensive industrial and logistics development companies in the world. Thor's industrial and logistics portfolio includes properties in New York, New Jersey, California, Georgia, Texas, Pennsylvania, and Illinois in the United States, as well as Spain, France, and the United Kingdom. At this property, Carl's Path in Deer Park, Town of Babylon, the company is making a $100 million investment in this property. It's already acquired the site and will remove the outdated, unsafe, unsightly, and derelict building, as well as the current operation as a truck terminal. In its place will be a modern, clean, efficient warehouse operation, respectful of the surrounding community. As you can see from the existing condition pictures we've just handed up, if the building is approved, gone will be the dilapidated, unsafe, unsecured, and hazardous building. Gone will be the flooded, potholed, and dangerous parking lot. Gone will be the former use of the site as a violation-prone truck terminal. In its place will be a new building built by one of the world's most experienced industrial property developers, intended for a local or national company to use this location as a logistics center serving Long Island. The proposed logistics center building is 310,500 square feet, with 301,500 square feet of warehouse area and 9,000 square feet of office area. The building will have 36 foot of clear height and provide 229 car parking spaces and 51 truck parking spaces in an orderly, developed site. The new building will bring an estimated 150 to 200 jobs to the local area, will be tax positive, and will solve a problem that has been frustrating the town for a decade. Since acquiring the property through a court-ordered bankruptcy sale only a few months ago, Thor has worked with the town to cure all of the previous owner's violations at the property. The variances needed for this application to proceed are the minimum necessary to construct a modern, marketable industrial building responsive to the needs of today's tenants. Truly modern Class A industrial buildings need higher ceilings, fewer car parking spaces, and more area for trailer parking that can be done in a safe manner. The ceiling height sought here is only 7 feet 9 inches higher than that permitted by town code. The current 35-foot height permitted by town code is no longer viable for modern industrial buildings. In fact, industrial buildings on Long Island are currently seeking heights as high as 47 feet in order to better compete with roof heights approved in neighboring states such as New Jersey. Basically, the minimum ceiling height being sought for industrial buildings throughout Long Island is all that we are proposing here. 36-foot clear height ceilings, which require a roof height of 42 feet 9 inches, which is our project architect will discuss during her testimony, are now the standard for industrial buildings. We are only seeking approval here for what the market standard is today. As for parking, as our parking engineer will testify, the modern efficiencies of today's warehouse operations require fewer employees than when Long Island was a manufacturing-heavy economy. Even though this building will be a significant job generator, 150 to 200 jobs projected, the 369 parking spaces provided, which include 140 landscape spaces, will more than adequately satisfy the anticipated parking demand and leave excess parking to allow for adequate site movements and an orderly employee ingress and egress operation at the site. For the same reason, the orderly operation of the site, the location of the trailer parking requires a variance. The location off of Carl's Path is the only location on the site where trailers can be parked on the site when not in use, which provides separation for those trailers from the activities on the property. This separate trailer parking area will be adequately screened and is intended for the low-impact activity of trailer parking only. Overall, the proposed warehouse use is as of right under the property's existing G industrial zoning and is not out of character with the surrounding area. The application seeks only the minimum variances required to construct a building intended to put the town's misery with the current operation behind it. The building as proposed is appropriately sized and allows for safe and efficient on-site operations. The impacts on the surrounding community will be less than the former operation of the site as an unregulated truck terminal. A building constructed without the benefit of the reasonable variances being sought by the applicant would devalue the property and not enable the town and community to enjoy the benefits of a Class A operation. The site is currently a detriment to the community, and the applicant's proposal will positively revitalize an important property in the town. Those are my introductory remarks. I would like to have Dale Koch speak to the site plan and walk you through the site plan briefly, unless there are any questions. That's okay. It's your hearing. So should Dale speak to the site plan, and we can then, if there are any questions for me. If not, we'll talk to the site plan? Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
What?
Poor Frank's just standing there.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good.
Do you want the site plan up?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. All right, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Dale Koch. I'm with the firm Bowler Engineering. We're located at 275 Broad Hollow Road in Melville.
You affirm to tell the truth?
I do. All right, so good evening. I think Mr. Weber did a great job kind of outlining the application. I'm going to do my best to just be brief and hit on some of the main points that I think really speak to the variances that are being sought this evening. The site is located on Carlspath Road. It's 19.5 acres, providing plenty of space to construct the new 300,000 square foot warehouse building. A lot of the stuff for the site, there were some challenges, as you can see from the site plan here that we just put up. The geometry of the site is a little challenging, whereas it's not a perfect rectangle. There are some pieces of the property, one section of it being up in the so the top right, left, oh my God, the left side of the drawing, but it's the southwest side of the site. That's where the outdoor truck trailer storage is going to be located. I'm going to touch on that in a few minutes, but as you can see, it's a weird out parcel for the overall development, but the site itself provides plenty of geometry to actually make the site function. There's great circulation around the building, providing safe, easy access for trucks and employees, along with emergency vehicles if there were ever any issues on the site, which I know is an important fact when we start laying these buildings out. As you can see on the bottom side of the site plan, on the exhibit in front of you, that's where the main loading area is going to take place. So on the far side of the building. So the main activities for trailer loading and unloading will be taking place very far away from Carlspath Road, outside of the front yard area that's in question for some of the setbacks. And then again, in general, just full circulation around the entire building, just providing really safe, easy access for the employees and the trucks. The trailer space, the loading area, in the area that I botched a few minutes ago, provides a extremely generous buffer along Carlspath Road. So while we are seeking a variance for it to be in the front yard, just by way of comparison, the requirement for a buffer to a residential zone in this district is 5 feet. We're providing at a minimum almost 47 and a half feet of a buffer, which will allow for generous landscaping and buffering to those activities, which is a really good trade-off for something like this, where we need the space, we need the trailer storage, but when you drive down Carlspath Road with the robust landscape plan that we have proposed in this location, you won't see the loading area. And then the other minor variance that we're going for with the number of loading stalls, so the code requires 63 loading stalls. We're proposing 61. As I mentioned in my testimony, the loading area is on the back side of the building, which is the east side of the site. Just by laying out the loading zones, how we know they're going to work in the loading area, how we need it to work geometrically, we come up with 61 stalls. This allows for space for emergency doors, stairs, aisles for people to get in and out if they have to, a drive-in ramp to go up inside the building to get access for forklifts and smaller trucks. So the layout really makes sense for the building and also keeps the loading and everything away from the residents to the west, but we don't get the full 63 spaces. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the site in general, but those are the main points for the variances that we're seeking.
Thank you. Any questions?
Proposed area, what tenants, do you have any tenants yet available? Is this going to be like a distribution center, like for Amazon or anything like that?
Good question. It's not intended to be an Amazon. That's the first thing everybody thinks of. But other uses or other users, retailers in the area, it could be for Target, it could be for Home Depot, it could be a place where basically dry goods are stored and then shipped out for local distribution. That's an example. It's not going to be an Amazon. It's not designed to be an Amazon for local deliveries. It's more intended to be for deliveries to large retailers. That's a good example. And no tenants have been identified yet. But those are the types of tenants that we see in the marketplace now, are distributors to other businesses.
Okay, there is a residential area here, a senior residential area on Carlspath. Now, is this going to be a 24-hour operation, or you don't know that yet because you don't have tenants yet?
Don't know that yet because we don't have tenants yet.
So you don't know if there's going to be deliveries, shipping and receiving. I see that the tractor trailers are going to be in the back of the building.
That's exactly right.
Tremendous buffer to that residential area.
That's correct.
And I see on Grand Boulevard, there's a tremendous buffer also.
That is correct. And I'm sorry, just on that point, originally proposed, we had an entrance onto Grand Boulevard through that buffer, but the town required us to remove it. I didn't detail all of the changes that the plan has gone through with the planning department, but the applicant basically made all the changes that the town had requested.
I mean, it's always been a truck terminal or freight area in the past, but just the concern I have is just the tenants in that facility there, that they're not going to be imposed upon from 24-hour shipping or, tractor trailers going in and out in the middle of the night.
So it's a 24-hour operation now, so we couldn't say one way or another that in order to attract a quality tenant, you have to have the opportunity for it to be 24 hours. But again, and as you pointed out, and as Mr. Koch pointed out as well, all of the loading and unloading has been removed to the complete other side of that building.
Right.
So the only activity that would be close to that area would be employee parking.
Right. Okay.
More than one tenant, or is it just designed to be one tenant?
It could be one tenant, it could be two tenants. Probably no more than that.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
So, yeah, I guess Mr. Rigny's we're talking about, is this going to be, or attract more traffic, or have more traffic?
So I have a traffic and parking engineer who can speak to that.
That's good, okay.
Okay, but I was going to have the architect speak first about the height, if that's, okay?
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Sharon Wu. I work for Well Malcolm. The address is 110 Addison Place, Newark, New Jersey.
And you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
What would you like to tell us?
So this building has a clear height of 36 feet. This is as expected currently for the warehouse building, for Class A building. So with the building that's 300 feet long, the roof pitch itself, based on the 1/4 inch per foot code requirement, is going to rise about 37.5 inch, and with structural and roof construction insulation, that with a 36 feet high clear ceiling height, the building will come to 42 foot 9. That's why we're seeking the variance for this building, for the building height. So a 36-foot high building is pretty standard for warehouse in a current day. In fact, in recent years, most of the warehouse building are trending toward 40 feet clear height. So a 36 feet clear height building will increase the efficiency of the building, and basically you have a smaller footprint, but you have more storage space. So with the town's 35 feet building height, it will only allow 28 foot clear ceiling height. This is not viable for a warehouse, a Class A warehouse building. So that's why we're seeking the 36 feet clear height for the warehouse.
So to obtain that 36-foot inside clear height, you need to have that type of pitch for water runoff and everything for the...
Yes.
And the structure for the roof.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
John, I'm going to ask you one question if I could. if you
Okay.
don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't usually do this, but
Okay.
you said some buildings are being designed to 40 feet,
Correct.
right? So that is almost the next standard
Yes.
height of 40 feet, which we're not seeking here for a clear height 40 feet. How high are those roofs?
Those roof, you are going to come to close to 50 feet.
Close to 50 feet
Yeah.
is kind of the next level. We're keeping it at what is the current market, best market for Long Island. There are buildings on Long Island that are being designed to 40 feet with roofs almost significantly higher, up to 50 feet. But we're trying to remain as low height and yet remain competitive with the market. Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank? Okay. Frank Fulicciotto is our traffic and parking engineer.
The buildings that are in, to the north, in that industrial area, are those, what's the height of those buildings? Do you know what the?
Are you talking about the new buildings that went up in Melville?
No, no, I'm
No.
talking about, what is the name of that, the area over there? Greenlawn or no? Where on Long Island Avenue by the golf course? Heartland. So there's industrial
I know.
buildings there.
Within the Heartland Business Park. I don't know the heights of those buildings.
Yeah.
We did a study, though, of all the buildings that are either being delivered this year, last year, all the current buildings. The minimum is 36-foot clear height, up to 40 feet. One actually up to, in an area that's zoned for it, up to 46.5 feet. Those are the newer buildings, not the ones that were built
They're
kind of.
being constructed right now as we
Correct.
speak also.
Quick question, just, has anybody spoken with the Deer Park Fire Department as far as, you know, is this going to be a problem for them if there's a fire there, or, you know, that kind of thing?
We haven't received any comments from the local fire department. Everything was run through the town and the fire marshal, so nothing specific has been pointed out to us.
Probably get their feedback on something like this.
Thank you. Okay, we do that.
Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Frank A. Filicciotto, F as in Frank, I-L-I-C-I-O-T-T-O. I'm with the firm Creighton Manning Engineering, offices at 2 William Street, White Plains, New York.
And you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
What'd you like to tell us?
Thank you. I've presented in front of this board in the past, but it's been a while, so I just wanted to, for the benefit of the record, I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New York, 20 years of experience in the field of traffic and transportation engineering, site plan design, land use. My firm prepared a comprehensive traffic impact study for this project, and I know the board might have some traffic-related questions. We're here specifically for the parking variance, which I want to hit on first just because it's the most relevant, but I'm happy to answer any traffic-related questions. We did prepare a comprehensive traffic study as part of the site plan application. It was reviewed by the town's traffic consultant, Cameron Engineering. They concurred with the findings. Any comments that they had, we've satisfactorily addressed. I was before the planning board earlier in December, made an entire presentation about the findings of the traffic study, how the site will work from an ingress and egress standpoint, and so on. I'm happy to reprise any of that here tonight if you'd like to hear bits and pieces of it. But my thought was, we'll give you the defense on the parking, given that we're here before you this evening for that variance, and then we could move into traffic if you have any questions. Does that sound acceptable?
That's fine.
Thanks. So as you've heard, we're proposing a 310,500 square foot warehousing building. I've worked on a lot of these projects over the years, and in more current times, what we're finding is that the requirement for warehouse use, towns all throughout the state tend to have a very, very, very strict, high parking requirement for these types of uses. But as Bram stated in his introduction, the warehousing landscape has completely changed. And what we're doing in those warehousing buildings has changed. And what that's done is it's essentially lowered the parking intensity and the parking need for these types of uses. And I know it's a little bit counterintuitive. You're building a massive 310,000 square foot building, and we're here before you trying to argue that we need less parking than the code, but the data really bears the truth. And I'll get into that in a second, but for the sake of numbers, we're required to provide 710 spaces. we're proposing 369 parking spaces. So mathematically, on paper, that would be a large variance. What I'll say is we're proposing to provide 369 spaces, 229 of which are going to be built, constructed. There will be an additional 140 set aside or land banked for future use if needed. Whenever we're working on these projects, we look at the Institute of Transportation Engineers Parking Generation Manual. It's essentially a compendium of a wide variety of land uses that have been studied for parking. The data is amassed. It's put into this large reference manual that's updated every so often. This specific land use 150, has 31 data points, so 31 individual studies of warehouses. And what the data shows is that the average parking demand for a warehouse of this size is 118 parked vehicles, 118. We're providing 229 built spaces with an additional 140 land banked. So we are providing well in excess of what the industry standard data shows is needed for a warehouse of this size. In addition, the data set, you could even look at the data set more discernibly, and you could look at the likelihood of that average actually bearing out. And I'm only saying this because the town's own consultant made this remark when they reviewed our parking analysis. They said that the average rate is within a 95% confidence interval of the data set. We're getting a little detailed here, but basically they're comfortable with the fact that we're providing enough parking to satisfy the average rate per the ITE guidelines. In addition, the 140 is essentially a bonus beyond that. So what we're finding here is that what we're asking for, the 369 parking spaces, and that does not include the 61 loading spaces or the 51 trailer spaces, we believe is more than sufficient to accommodate the worst case demand and would not have any detriment to not only the site but the surrounding area if this variance was granted. Cameron Engineering concluded in their letter that they would have no objection to the parking variance being granted. So we're on the same page with them. Again, 229 built spaces, greater than the average ITE parking demand rate, which is the industry standard. I believe we've proven that we have enough parking to satisfy this use.
Good.
I'm happy to answer any traffic-related questions. If you'd like, I could give a brief overview, however you'd like to proceed.
So, okay, this is probably okay, we're good, I think, thank you.
Thank you.
So, from my personal standpoint, just give me an idea of how this works. Stuff comes into the warehouse, it gets stored for a certain amount of time, racks, things of that nature kind of thing, and then it goes out to wherever it's got to go.
That is correct.
Okay, that was really...
Yeah, no, that's correct. But again, it's intended to be logistics or distribution to other businesses and for other businesses, not the Amazon for it goes into a box truck and goes into the neighborhood for delivery. This is washing machines come in for Home Depot and then they distribute them to their various different locations on Long Island. It's an example.
So no intentions of manufacturing where they're going to have an influx of more employees or anything like that? For
No,
this location?
we're just trending away from that on Long Island.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
I think they should be contacted to
Yeah.
get some feedback. I mean, this is a very large building for them. Tell you what's going on.
So, That would be our ask, getting in contact with the Deer Park Fire Department.
Very reasonable, because
No.
absolutely, sure.
All right.
Yep.
And get back to us, I know, or the fire marshal too. I mean, I guess you must be dealing with the fire marshal.
Already done with the
already.
fire marshal, but happy to talk to the fire department as well.
Okay, all right.
Acceptable.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. We'll await your letter from the fire department or whatever you're going to send us to, and then, well, we have to wait for secret too, by the, yeah.
From the
because
planning board.
The planning board, yeah.
Understood,
right.
we'll get that all done.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay, thank you. I'll keep the record open for the letter from the fire department.
Fire department, sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. That was number 7, I don't need that. Yes, ma'am. Okay, the next application is application, and this is a, yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion to withdraw application 23205.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All right. Next application is application 23206A and 206B. And is there anyone that would like to recuse on this application?
Mr. Chairman, I will also.
Mr. Perotti and Mr. Dellavecchia will recuse. They're going for appetizers. Name and address for the record.
Larry Bennett, 11 Hearthstone Drive, Mechanicville, New York.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated December 18, 2023 on application 23206A. And also an application 23206B, also dated December 18, 2023. There is a number of covenants and restrictions and conditions on both of those. Department of Environmental Control memo dated December 14, 2023. If we were to approve this application, it would need a negative declaration. A survey by Michael Minto dated June 15, 2023. That's on the A application. On the B application, also by Michael Minto, and also dated June 15, 2023. And then there's an overall survey by Michael Minto that is dated June 18, 2023. Tax map acting as an area map, and?
And Mr. Chairman, we have 8 photographs.
Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, I'm representing Martin Stroud. He owns a property at 50 South Emerson Avenue in Amityville. And we're looking to subdivide the parcel of land 120 wide, 100 feet deep, into 2 parcels. Lot 1, we're looking for 50 by 100, and Lot 2, we're looking for 70 by 100. The variances that are required for Lot 1 would be special permission to diminish the front street line from 75 feet to 50. The second variance is to diminish the total lot area from 7,500 square feet to 5,000 square feet, and to subdivide a parcel of land 120 by 100 into 50 by 100. Parcel 2 is special permission to diminish the width of the front property line from 75 feet to 70, and diminish the front yard setback from 30 to 23, which is I'm sorry.
That's okay, no, it's my fault.
Oh.
I just need your name and address for the record.
Oh, I did. Larry Bennett.
You did, okay.
11.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the diminish the front yard from 30 feet to 23.7, which is an existing front yard on the existing dwelling. Diminish the south side yard from 10 feet to 8.5, and diminish the total aggregate of the side yards from 25 to 18.4 feet. The pool has been removed for the record. And again, that's to subdivide a parcel of land, 120 by 100. At this time, I would like to offer the board a file map and some photographs of houses in the area on these smaller lots, and a file map that shows the different lots highlighted in color, where there's 40-foot lots within the radius, within the 200-foot and the 500-foot radius of all the properties of the subdivision. This file map that I have color-coded that shows all the lots in pink that are 40 by 100, and it shows the subject property in blue, tax map number 174 at the end, and it also shows 3 subdivisions that were done, I'm saying years ago. I don't know when they were done, but they weren't done by this board at all. There was a 6-lot subdivision for 667 by 100s. There was one 40-foot lot that must have lost its single and separate because it was subdivided from 73.2, the one above it. And then there was a two-lot subdivision which consisted of 2 40s. That's the ones highlighted in yellow. I offered the board photographs of the existing house and a few houses in the area that are on 40 by 100s. After driving around on a visual tour of the properties around the community, we feel that this proposed 2-lot subdivision will not inflict any undue hardship on the surrounding properties and is in substantial conformance with the community.
So you already agreed that the pool is either gone or going to be?
No, the
eliminated?
pool is removed.
Pool's already
Yes.
removed? Okay, I'll make a motion to eliminate variance number 6 on application 23206B. All in favor?
Oops.
Oh, yeah, okay. We have correspondence.
I'll read this into the record. CNRs, the client agrees to all CNRs, covenants and restrictions, and conditions imposed as per the planning board on lot number 1 with regard to the new dwelling. The client agrees to all CNRs, covenant and restriction conditions imposed as per the planning board. However, with the regards to the CNRs number 2, owner-occupied use only. This single-family, one-family dwelling currently rented and has a rental permit on file with the rental department. Application 147451 and an inspection on 2/29/24. They have owned this single-family there for retirement dwelling for 10 to 12 years as an investment. They currently have a tenant, husband, wife, child since September 2023. There's more. Is there more?
Actually, on the rental, there was a mistake on the, I put September, it was actually March, that they rented the property to this young couple.
23?
Excuse me? Yeah, 23. Yes.
So the house, the existing house has always been a rental?
Well, they've owned it for 10 to 12 years as a rental only.
As a rental only?
And it's a single-family dwelling, 3 bedrooms, an open breezeway, a garage, which is still a garage, and an unfinished basement. And we were asking for relief on that second one about the house remaining owner-occupied, because then it would really be a hardship for the tenants. They would have to be evicted or vacate the premises and then move and find another place to live. And they're very content where they live, and they, don't want to uproot themselves. Well, the owner doesn't want to uproot the tenants.
And it has a valid rental permit at this time.
Well, we filed the rental permit, and it's in process, and we have an inspection on the 29th of February.
So, I guess, everything is good now. What tenants would you get in there? Yeah, no, I know.
He's a very conscientious landowner, and he takes good care of the house, and he works with his tenants.
Pool's going to be removed, we established that, yeah. All right, any other questions from the board?
Are you selling the new, or are you renting? What are we doing with the new house?
The new house is being sold. They're agreeing to all the CNRs and conditions on the proposed dwelling, on the 50 by 100, and on the house, they're agreeing and in agreeance with all CNRs and conditions. They just want to try to work out this rental so they don't have to give it up.
Understood.
Agree to that condition?
I didn't hear that, I'm sorry. Okay, I would have to have this corrected then. You mean the driveway for the for the proposed dwelling? Yeah. We'll just work that right into the application and take care of it. Not a problem.
Wide enough?
Looks like it's wide enough for
How many feet?
18. 18.
18 feet wide, it should be wide enough for two cars.
Yeah, on the proposed, yeah. Yeah, on the proposed. Actually, you could probably get 4 cars in there. Okay, would anybody like to be heard on this application?
Oh, and I also want to just say one more thing. If any of the people who are here who would like me to sit and talk to them or go over anything about the application, I'd be more than happy. Okay?
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Charles Di Giovanna, 47 South Emerson Avenue, Amity Harbor. I live directly across the street from lot number 1.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, what would you like to tell us?
Some of you might recognize my name. I've been an architect in the
Yes, we
town
do.
of
Yes, we
Babylon
do.
for 60 years, and still am. My plans, my clients, my drawings, and myself have been before you in 60 years many times. Not you particular people, because you're too young, but other people. I have always advised my clients during the years when they wanted to make improvements to their property for legitimate concerns, especially in the last several years. Many families I have gone to, they have 5 kids, 2 bedrooms, and a small living room, and they need to expand for their family. And I've always advised the clients to try and find a solution in our designs that would be within the parameters of the zoning ordinance that governs their property, to respect both the ordinances and the impact to the community. But sometimes we're not able to do that. Sometimes the lots are small, the houses are small, we need to get a little bit bigger. So we have to make a submission to the board here, and we have to request a variance based upon a valid hardship. I always tell them, when you come to the Board of Appeals, you have to have a valid hardship. I'm stressing that word valid. And then we strongly endeavor to design the addition to keep the number of variances to a minimum, to minimize the impact on the neighbors and their privacy and their property values. This application before you, this subdivision, does none of this. It rather snubs its nose, I think, at the zoning ordinances of the town, as well as to the neighbors, the people who live on my block. Should you approve this application, there are several things that are going to happen. One, it would require 8 separate and distinct variances to create 2 substandard lots. So after you grant the 8 variances, we're still going to have 2 lots that are substandard. One of them has a frontage of 70 foot, the other one has a frontage of 50 foot, where the required width is 75 foot. One of them has a lot area of 7,000 square feet, the other has an area of 5,000 square feet, where the required area is 7,500 square feet. And it's highly likely, and I have not seen the CNRs that you're making reference to, but it's highly likely that there's going to be 2 non-owner occupied rental properties with no vested interest in the community. We already know we have 1 rental property. We suspect there might be 2, that the applicant's business is to have rental properties and not necessarily want to sell it. Secondly, it would cause an overall look of overcrowding. To the best of our knowledge, based on research by one of our community members, no house has been constructed on this block with a lot width of less than 60 feet since 1961. And Mr. Bennett referred to existing houses on narrow lots. These were constructed, all of these, in the 40s and the 50s, and they were properties held in single and separate ownership, not as a result of a misguided subdivision. Granting this would cause a lack of privacy for the adjacent property owners. It's all squeezed in. And subsequently, a reduction in property values for all of us in the neighborhood. And we're concerned about changes in the existing grade on the property. We know we have a high water table, and we're concerned about the potential for flooding of adjacent properties. Most importantly, we see no hardship imposed on the applicant by the denial of this application, which we strongly urge you to do. We, and I speak for my neighbors, almost to 100% on the block, we see it as an invasive and opportunistic business venture on the backs of an existing, established, and close-knit community. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on the application? Well done, Sean. Name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Bonnie Jockle, 44 South Emerson Avenue, Amityville. I also have
Pull
a,
that mic down a little bit, so just speak into the microphone, just pull it down a little bit. No, just, yeah, move that, there you go.
I also have a petition here signed by 32 people.
Okay, you could hand that up, we'll take that as part of the record. Thank you.
And before I start, I think Charlie mentioned it, but a lot of the houses that are in your color-coded, or again, like, there's one house on our block that's on 40. It was built in 1926. The house next to me was built in 1937 on the 40. So again, they're all what he said. Anyway, I oppose the subdivision of 50 South Emerson Avenue. The board is being asked to allow a new house to be built on 50 feet of property instead of the 75 feet that is code. As stated in our petition, no house has been constructed on this block since 1961 with a lot width of less than 60 feet. The applicants are asking the board to allow and to make exceptions to the existing codes. This exception amounts to a 30% change in the square footage of the property as it appears in the code. These codes have been established for a reason, to sustain our quality of life and prevent environmental issues. The applicants have a history of securing real property for financial gain. As an absentee landlord, housing is provided to people without a vested interest in the property or the neighborhood. It is being asked of the Amity Harbor community that was established in 1926 with residents on this block of original and generational homeowners to support these applicants for someone not vested in this block. I'm concerned that this will be a financial and emotional hardship to me. I have a mature living fence that has existed for generations, which includes towering blue spruce on my shared property line. It supports a quality of life for myself and the community, and I would endure great hardship if these trees, as well as my existing landscape, were compromised in any way. I am further concerned about flooding caused by a change in the elevation or grade of the elevation at 50 South Emerson Avenue with this new house being built, as well as a lack of assurance that the submitted plans for this proposed house will not change or something else be built. I appeal to the board to deny such a drastic variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? Come on up. Name and address for the record, please. Name and address for the record, I'm sorry.
My name's Vic Alfieri, and I reside with Ms. Jocko at 44 South Emerson Avenue.
Do you affirm to tell the truth? Do you affirm to tell the truth?
My hearing aid's kicked out.
And I feel your pain. You affirm to tell the truth? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay. If we would, Charlie mentioned all our concerns. There really isn't too much more that can be said, bold print from what he said. There are more concerns that haven't been mentioned. To elaborate, if you could bring that screen to a front view and show the property in question, you will see the natural fence that Bonnie is speaking of. That is Bonnie's house there. And you can see the greenery that runs along the property line. Removing that property leaves a big open void. The hardship to Bonnie, a hardship to the community. It will just change the looks of things. Another point with these smaller properties, 40 feet frontage, 900 square feet of living space. We're going to put something has been put forth in those drawings. They're up and around 3,000 square feet. So the applicant would have you believe that 50 is okay because 40 exists. But 40 is 900 square feet and 50 is going to be 3,000. As far as the drawings that have been presented or made available to us, there aren't any elevations as such, elevations of the grade. At 44 South Emerson, there is a French drain. There is a pit that has water in it all the time. That water level indicates the water level in the ground. It's the groundwater level. The property in question is 12 inches lower than 44 South Emerson. That water table is very low. If they hit water, they will need to raise the foundations. Raising the foundations brings that 30-foot limit well above the homes in the community. There's no indication as to benchmarks, sea levels, anything like that. In all fairness, without that information, I have to oppose what has been set forth. There's also, when these homes were built, they were built with a leach field. That property, in all likelihood, has a leach field on it, which would then involve environmental issues, DEC, so on and so forth. That becomes something that has not been revealed or mentioned. Just so many things. So much more information I would like to know. I would like to secure that living fence, but it is on the property line. We have landscape that is on our property, but has grown over the property line. And without a tenant or occupied, it's grown to a point where if it gets trimmed to the property, we will lose our vegetation. We will lose our living fence. We will lose our landscape. These are concerns that we have, as well as a lack of information on the prints. Once again, the driveway is on the bedroom side of 44 South Emerson. What is going to be in that driveway? Who is going to start their car or vehicle in the morning? This rental that has been mentioned, this individual is a good person, but he's got a diesel that starts up at 6:30 in the morning and shakes Bonnie out of bed. We don't need a tenant like that next door, 15 feet from our bedroom. I don't know what can be done about that. I know the application is for the property, but to grant that application, it's going to change the looks of the neighborhood. The house is going to be taller, it's going to be bigger, it's going to be on a smaller piece of land, it's going to infringe the noise, the environment. These codes have been created for a reason, and they were changed for a reason. with all types of impacts on environment, on suburban way of life. I know there's a crunch for housing. But let's not take the suburban way of life away from us. How many more years do we have? Look at who's sitting out there. We got a whole lot more years behind us than we have in front of us. And we've enjoyed this property, this neighborhood, for a long time. Let us keep what the hell we got time left. Thank you.
Thank you. Making me feel older than I am. Would anybody else like to be heard on this application? Come on up.
I'm going to have to lower this more because I'm a lot shorter than everybody else. Hi, my name's Barbara Zeisman. I live at 54 South Emerson Avenue, which is right next to the property. He was speaking about...
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do. He was speaking about the diesel truck. Not only is there a diesel truck that wakes me up and it's not 6:30, it's about 5 every morning, but he also has a trailer that's parked that I can't even see down the street in the driveway. It's a commercial trailer. And what he was saying about how he keeps the property, he did not keep the property. The previous tenant that was in there didn't even cut the grass. He had a landscaper come, the grass was always brown. That tree that you see in that picture, right there, several times during several storms, the branches had fallen, dented the roof of my car, the hood of my car, scratched the side of a brand new car. Anytime I mentioned to him, can you please take care of the tree? He would tell me, yeah, and never took care of it. He only took care of it when when the last tenant moved out. Then he cut the tree down. So for him saying that, yes, he does take care of the property, no. The property now is being taken care of by the tenant. Martin has not done anything to take care of that property. He doesn't care about the neighborhood. He has no interest in what goes on. He's never there. And the fact that he's trying to put up 2 substandard lots now, it's not fair to the rest of the community, the rest of the neighborhood. So I'm asking you to please take all that into consideration and possibly not let this go through. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to be heard on this application?
Michael Harms, 43 South Emerson Avenue, Amity Harbor.
Tell the truth?
I swear to tell the truth. As far as the tenant goes that Barbara said, I totally agree. I mean, if this gentleman's trying to say that the landlord is so critical of the tenants, I mean, there you go right there. The fella is a nice man, the daughter, the wife, everything, but he's running basically, his trailer from his business and the diesel. Tries to keep it quiet as he goes down a block, but it doesn't work. As far as like Charlie, I've been in my house for 37 years. I live like right across the street from Bonnie. Charlie's lot was vacant, and when he moved in there, he got a 100 by 100 lot. He built a beautiful architectural home that enhanced the neighborhood and the block. And there were new homes built down the street, and these were done and enhanced the block and the neighborhood. This is going to impose on Bonnie, who is at least, I don't know, second generation in that house. She grew up there. Her parents, own the house. She owns the house. She's had this beautiful open space, which is supposed to be because they're looking for a variance. And now she's going to possibly have another tenant like this right next to her. Or if he sells the house, who knows who's going to buy the house? I mean, I don't think that's fair to Bonnie. And I don't know how Bruce and Barbara put up with with the diesel truck and the trailer without making big complaints. So, I mean, from what I understood, from what Charlie was saying, that usually it would be a hardship, that variances like this, there's like 7 or 8 variances. If there was a financial hardship for the individual, that maybe that would be approved. Certainly doesn't seem like if he has a rental here and he's got money to build a new house, there's any kind of financial hardship. The hardship that's going to happen is to us. And I'd appreciate it if you deny this application. All right, thank you.
Would anyone else like to be heard on this application?
My name is Joan Rowley. I live at 42 South Emerson Avenue. I agree with what was being said by my neighbors, so there's no need to repeat it all. I'd like to point out and emphasize that I live on a 40 by 100 plot of land, and it was legal when it was built. There was no variance needed to do it or ever. They've changed it since then because it's small. But why get all these variances and overcrowd the neighborhood? I'm concerned about, about overcrowding in the neighborhood, more traffic, and things like that. And so basically, I'm not going to repeat what everybody said because I agree with them. Thank you.
You affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
On everything you already told us?
Yes, you want me to repeat it? No.
No.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? We ran out of people. For the record, there are none. Mr. Bennett? Any quick comments?
Yes, I have some additional comments. As far as the size of the house is concerned, it's about 1,800 square feet. I was only trying to point out to the board that there were numerous 40-foot lots in the area to just make a comparison that if we're asking for a 50, it wasn't a detriment to the area because there's already like 40% of the houses in the radius of the 500-foot or 40-footers. As far as the house being rented, the new house, it's going to be under all CNRs. It's going to be sold. They have no objections to that. As far as the truck is concerned and the trailer is concerned, I have no knowledge of that. I will bring it to my client's attention about this issue. As far as the drainage and the height of the property and the water runoff and the flooding, that's all being taken care of on the surveys. These are preliminary surveys that just show for the subdivision. You cannot file a building permit, and Charlie would know this now in this day and age, without gutters and leaders, dry wells, elevations reviewed by planning. There's just too many things that, they have to go through still. They still have to go to planning. They still have to go to engineering. So all that stuff will be resolved, And if there is a flooding problem, he's proposing a basement, an unfinished basement in the house, and adhering to all the restrictions. If the water table is that bad, he's going to have to scratch the basement and put it on a crawl space. And that's not an issue. That'll be taken care of if that's a situation. So I just don't want the community to be too worried, and I will address whatever issues I can with the homeowner, with Martin, about these issues.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. We're going to take everything everybody had to say about this under consideration before we make our decision. We appreciate everybody coming down tonight, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got to go first. Oh, yeah. So that concludes the live streaming of our meeting tonight.